All right, cool. Since it was off, it didn't adjust my RGB. So gaming PC is getting fired up. I usually, like I said, I'll be here adjusting, all my photography that I'll do. Even in a span of an hour in the gym, I get a lot of photography done, as you can see. Like a lot of different, like the last time I went there, this was what I did. I got into different freezes and experimented with that over like my usual stuff. I try to do something like different. So, like say here, realizing, hey, like a horse stance, like a basic horse stance where you're actually for both sides, you can see is like almost perfectly balanced with each other. And I thought it looked kind of nice. So instead of like starting off from here, I go here. Obviously, the only habit I have is like I need to build more confidence on realizing that the photo is going to be fine by itself. I use a Canon Camera Connect app as a remote, you know, timer, and I'll take some of these photos, you know, on a, immediate basis instead of like, hey, 10 seconds or 2 seconds. 2 seconds is too short though, so I'd have to do a 10 second and then just be sitting here like this if I wanted to. I'm not one of those type of photographers where I'm just like, for myself, for self photography, I won't be one of those that'll just be like, I gotta freeze in a position for like a millisecond, and then hopefully I get the nice shot that I want if I like put it in bursts. For a lot of these photos, the only time I'll do that would be like, say, the differences in like headstands. Like you can see from here, I'm gonna just pull this up. Like say from here to me changing into the next position for that freeze, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Changing into different spaces. So you don't have to sit there in that one freeze and hold it for like 10 seconds. This freeze, like that, can be held less than a second if you wanted to. As long as you're good with your shutter speeds, you can find that space that you really like. It takes a lot of actually like putting in that time and effort. And then, like I said, you always have your people whenever you're going into any space. If you have a camera, they're already, majority, if they're from America, they're looking at you as if like, oh, like this person's trying to cause problems. Oh, like he just thinks he's better than everybody else. It's like, nah, like this is me actually trying to value myself in a space. I'm usually a person, but when it's photography, I'm that type of person that is like, I value other people. That's why I don't do photography like as much as like being hired to do jobs as much anymore, because I used to value people more than I value myself. I can go do photography anywhere, weddings, whatever, engagement parties, anything. And I can go there and realize that I haven't eaten that whole entire day and not even value myself enough to even think about that. But then when I look at the photos, I'm like, I'm more excited about the photos than me actually eating. And, most people don't seem to realize that. So when it comes to me doing photography, self photography, I'm trying to put as much value as I used to put in people and value other people. Even people they didn't even realize. If they were to actually help me with some photography sometimes and they realize, hey, like, if you ever need somebody to take photos of, you got me, that used to mean so much to me, to where like, some people will look at my like self photography now and think, oh, it's so amazing, but I really still don't like it personally. Like this is a photo I actually truly like though. Like, on any perspective, I see a lot of photos. If you even Google, like I Google search, my culture as a b-boy, I did that, and I see a lot of photos of just like one arm hand freezes, like, just your one arm handstands and just some basic freezes. I don't see a freeze like that on the internet. So I feel like it's something unique that I was able to capture from trying to adjust. Like I'm going into different perspectives in my own styles to get different looks, have like those different abstract shapes for like just that one aspect of breaking when it comes to freezes. Freezes for photos, I feel like that's been the best. I feel like anybody else trying to do something like this ever when it comes to photos and you're trying to be creative, dynamic, any type of dynamic movement is very difficult to actually get. Not right, because there's no right or wrong, but it is very difficult to get it the way that you're intending it to look like. No, 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 no. This wasn't even, this is actually still freezes. So I'm gonna keep checking around. So like, as a freeze, this is definitely one of my like highlight photos, I would still say, and like just chime into. This freeze, it's definitely me being creative, being outside of the box. For this one here, yeah. So at first I was always trying to experiment on what I'm trying to find. I'm almost there, but I was trying to do dynamic head spins. You know, my normal ones I do for videos, and then seeing if I can capture a photo that's that good. And I felt like, hey, dynamics like that is not necessarily good for photos unless you have intention with it, which I'll explain when I get to it. Do like how it looks like. Okay, so, and I just realized what I need to do. No, 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 no. Me, put this over here. Would be a lot better if you could actually see the whole photo, right? You know what I mean? All right. So this is definitely one of them that I actually truly value out of the MMA side. Like, people don't realize. I'll get to stuff that I enjoy, but I won't be, I'm not happy with myself like most people would be. They'd be like, oh yeah, I'm this person in this and that person in that. I'm always a person that wants to be myself and be original. So of course I'm gonna make things combine with each other to be original. So like I said, for the dance style, I add photography with it. I think it's only something that I've done. You know, I'm not going around to other people also like just getting photos of them or videos. There's people that do that. They're original with it. My originality comes from doing photos like this. You're not going to find somebody that's usually able to take photos of themselves like they would for another person. And that's what I did in this photo. It shows my definition within fitness and then also shows my martial arts side as well. It's something I truly value. Like stuff like that I work with. Like just seeing like legs. You see that there's movement. You see my little bit of belly, but you know, we're working on it. But you see the amount of leg definition I've been gaining over time from doing everything that I do in the fitness realm. It shows in the photos. A picture being worth 1,000 words, even if some people don't understand what the words mean. Hey, it works. Nah, then it had to be, yeah, it had to be. No, I found one of them. Okay, finally, fuck. All right, so this is one of the photos I was saying, you know, kind of hard for like the looking side, like when you're actually looking to do, me taking the photo, I was actually doing the head spin and also trying to do a pose and add that all together into making it something creative. This is the type of style that I say and I feel is very original. I don't feel like there's a lot of people trying to do stuff like that. You normally get photos like that of somebody in competition. You're doing your thing in your competition, you're being yourself, you're breaking, and you got a incredible photographer to be able to get that. That definitely has an experience of doing sports photography, because knowing the right shutter speeds to go around when somebody's moving incredibly fast is very difficult to do. So I feel like something like this, like the motion in the hands shows you it's a spin. It shows you that I wasn't going too fast, but it was fast enough that it was like solid, like a beautiful photo. Off my Canon R50, and the ISO that I had to choose for, ISO that I did not choose, is auto ISO, was 1600, but the shutter speed that I chose, I tried to make sure it still had intentional blur without it being looking like just like it was a still photo, like where there's no motion. And I was adjusting with that and experimenting a lot, but I got to a point where 1/200 was reasonable, where you get that motion from any body part going fast, which in this frame, I'd say with here and a little bit of here. The other two sides, as you can see, looks like it's more stationary, and it looks like it's was able to get in focus with no blur. but these areas were the spots that were in motion the most. Yeah, so I want to show off the other one. And you got this different thing. So now you got, like the rest of my legs here, they look perfectly in focus, whereas it's still motioned. And this is the like pose that I tried to get into from doing these head spins. It's not the best, like I said, because there's no right or wrong, like I was saying before, but then you have to realize, what is your goal out of the photos that you want to see? My personal opinion, this photo definitely got more of the goals that I wanted, but it's still a work in progress for anything that I do. I never get on a space to try to feel like I'm better than anybody else. I'm just like everybody else. The only difference is that I'm putting myself forward, even though I'm an introverted person that is used to staying in their own space, and I try to make it work. That's something that I start realizing. So it started off from stuff like this, like days before I've been trying this. But then you start realizing, hey, when you're spinning, that motion of the arms, it shows that it's actually that spinning rotation. I still like something like that because it's still showing the legs that are blurred, that it was motion. And like I was saying, like I was starting off, look at the shutter speed. The 1/30 wouldn't make sense. It shows all the blur that I want, but it doesn't show a clear sharpness with me in motion. That's one of the problems. So if it's too low, it really looks like that. It looks like blurry. It looks kind of like messy or noisy. Even though the ISO is down to 250, it's still, I feel like on the ISO side would be underexposed. That's why I started using the auto ISO for the next photos. And you can just see it. But some of these, because of its own type of style, and then I'm also using another focal length of lens. The other one was a 50. This one was the 16 mil for different reasons, specifically aperture as well. But the focal length, I feel like, look at this. Like, I like that one right here because it shows all that blur. It shows it's from a spin, but you can tell it's 1/30 for the frames. Not frames. Shutter speed is 1/30 for the shutter speed. I'm thinking frame rate for video. Shutter speed. It's 1/30. So you're getting all that blur. And this would be an intentional photo. So rating side. I'm rating this a 5. And I normally don't do that for myself, but I need to start so I can start sorting out the photos that I really like and realizing like photos of myself with that in mind are really good. Hits all the requirements for me. This is a 5 as well. I say this is a 4. This one here, 5. This one here, 4. Look, so like I was saying, if you want things to be like super sharp, everything in motion, even though I was spinning, I was doing a head spin in this motion, I had to go 1/800, and I believe I was still using the auto ISO and got to 1600. That's the camera adjusting the ISO for itself from looking at your shutter speed and everything else. It's manual with auto ISO. So I chose 800 and I still went to the 50 mil with f2.0 and was able to get something super sharp, even in motion. Even with this hand, it almost looks like it's, stationary like everywhere else. Very good. See the sharpness, the difference in the other one. This one looks like art though, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna do a little bit of adjustments real quick from just the stuff that I learned from another YouTuber, just gaining a lot of tips from his videos, Simon d'Entremont. I didn't even realize for like Lightroom side, it helps out a ton for the tips. If you have, say something like this, you press and hold on a PC and you hold, or alt or command for, I believe that's Mac. So from there, you can be able to see, hey, what's underexposed or overexposed. The black side is underexposed, whereas the white side would be overexposed. Obviously, nothing's overexposed. It was just that underexposed side. It helps a lot with being able to realize different things, like you can see. I believe it also helps out with colors. So I personally, when I check for myself, I look over at the color mixer and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is kind of, even though the shirt is black, it looks like bluish. So that's something I would check. Say it's over, you can see. So what I do is, like, I'm noticing that. One thing I would do first is, knowing these commands that his videos also explains, pressing for the white balance selector, it'd be smart to choose actually white since it's right there. And then get to something more reasonable. And then say, I saw that blue, I'm still gonna pull back. Just enough. You'll see where it actually was that was blue, what was affected, and get it to where it's just like the other stuff. Sometimes I will do it with another type of color just in case. But obviously that was fine. And from there, you can see like the before and after. This was how it was originally. When you do go up higher in shutter speed, you're gonna have a darker photo, but you'll be able, as long as you pay attention to what they call the histogram, you'll see the sides. You wanna make sure it never touches to where it looks like it's overextended. You wanna make sure there's some give, so you'll be able to actually retain that information from the shadows or highlights. So going back into this, boom. If I wanted to make it like super fully exposed, it'd be like this. I choose around there because I'm like, it goes with the character of the style of the photo. Like, you want a little bit of dark. Whereas here, actually, same thing, because I didn't learn that until recently. You know, get that out of the way. It's like a bluish, but I don't care. Just making sure. Okay, so this one I actually would go a little bit higher. Not like over where it's like super bright, but just enough. Just enough. So for this one, this is what, you could tell it's a different day, of course. By the shorts, I believe these are Thai shorts, Muay Thai shorts. This one, when I experiment with myself within photography, one of the things that I try to get to is starting to realize that you want to have, how do I explain it? Specifically, when you think about it, like, it'll make more sense. Because this is the photography I truly do, and I'm like, breathe it. When you think of like sunrise photography, it's not just taking the photo of the sunrise itself. It's what's incorporated around the sun, what's going on, what type of temperature did you feel at the time, and what did it look like for you. And you're starting to think of all these concepts in your head. When you apply that into breaking, like, or anything else, you kind of get these ideas too. So for this photo, it's like, what do you get out of this? You get more of energy. You get more of like a brightness from that same energy of emotion. You can see that, you know, having fun, enjoying myself. That's the same type of techniques I apply when I've started off from, you know, I really still enjoy sunrise photography and wildlife photography more, but it's because I've always been so mentally down on myself that I didn't value myself enough to do breaking photography. So utilizing all the strengths that I've always had in everything else, something that I can treat myself as a mental weakness, in something like this, utilizing those same ideals, I'm able to get great photos. And comes out great. You know, I have no complaints. the more the complaints that I'll have is always on myself, but it's always going to be a work in progress. Like mental health doesn't have to just be, sunshine and rainbows all the time for people to like actually grab on and realize a lot of things for themselves. It's acknowledging the fact that you have your dark days, but you have so many other things in your life that you can keep doing to make things better. And for myself, it's what I've done with video work, content creation. I've done with, even like I said, I've changed the way around my other stuff. I'm gonna get off context first, just a split second before I close, and just talk about like say my computers. So like this was like the very first iteration of my gaming PC. Well, no, no, it's this editing PC actually. I've had to, just to make things better for myself and make things more convenient and more reasonable. When I built it, I started off like this, and I'm super excited. Everything's all great. This is also, most people would complain when it comes to the PC world, when it comes to a micro ATX motherboard inside a big ATX case. So I made it a little more reasonable, and I'm just gonna switch over to it, to like the new iteration of it. And that just shows improvements in your own self and what you do. Yes. So now pretty much that same type of build that I had is now in a micro ATX case. So everything fits. I recently just changed out this, you know, for editing, it was awful to try to use, but you try to go with the cheapest thing you could find and it doesn't work out. This was an AMD RX 580. I personally like trying to go with new products over anything used. So all my other products inside of my, you know, editing PC is all new. Well, at its time, it was new, of course. It's the most reliable for me. But I see the improvements for myself. Obviously not in this photo because it doesn't do it justice. Especially this being an older photo because I just put in oh man, an Intel Arc A770 in this. Beautiful. It is beautiful. So it actually adds some like RGB lighting. But the only downside of how like tough it is in a micro ATX case is the damn, how do I explain it? Like the size difference of the RX 580 in comparison to A770 is massive. Like a normal GPU support bracket that I put here, which is still crazy to put under a fan for the power supply, but hey, it's my first build, so I'm not complaining. And it's still doing wonders as we're all recording on this right now and, showcasing a little bit of improvements. I started learning more about better placement while still also realizing with your GPU, you don't want to have the fans, interacted with anyway that it's hitting the fans while it's trying to support the GPU. So what I did is put it over to the side and I just got a gigantic GPU inside of it. So for me in that, I would just have to close off and just saying like that's a side of me showing where I started off. Obviously it wasn't like what somebody would consider their, how do I explain it? It's not like the meta, like some people would say, or like the standard. It's me going out of my own comfort zone to do my own things. And that's why now with some portions of social media, when I've gotten to a space of like making short form content, you always get the people commenting and just bashing you on anything that you try to do for yourself, although it is all you the whole time. Like I've only received help from myself to be able to build not only this computer, but I want to show the gaming PC for a second. Like this beauty. It's got a 7600 XT in it. I believe a 7800 X3D for the CPU. And it's just a monster. So my setup consists of gaming PC, which I usually do my gaming on here, and then my editing PC right next to it. Like, as I'm speaking, both of them are right next to each other and they're ready to go. You know what I mean? That is a level of improvements that some people that have better than you, that can be able to amass better than you, say for parts and stuff like that, it doesn't change the fact that if you actually are the one putting in the work, it's your personal achievements. It is you originally achieving things that other people. How can somebody else have more than you and still not achieve the same, if not better? That shows that it's not just what people may have, it's also what's inside of you. So a lot of times that I'll bash myself and, not value myself for anything that I do, I start realizing that I've done a lot of stuff that some people will never be able to do. It's not me trying to boast and try to feel like I'm this better person. It's just realizing that, appreciating myself needs to be done. Needs to be done for the rest of my life, actually. I need to start actually valuing myself enough, and this is just my little introduction into what I plan on trying to do. I'm going to try to edit this out like I normally would a short form, but like obviously tailor it more for long form and just see how it goes. Post the video, see how people think, and see if I would want to keep going with something like this. It's worth a try. One thing I always say in my videos my talk videos, when I usually do like short form, is I would want everybody to have a great day and think positive thoughts, because positive thoughts can keep you going forward, while as negative thoughts will move you backwards. It will. It's not possibly, it will. I try to work with as many things as I can to try to stay moving forward. Even in my own space, it could be very difficult. So I just try to wish that for others, that hopefully it showers back on me. Karma. Have a great day.